Hey everybody, this is Loren Baker of Search Engine Journal. Welcome to today's weekly SEO Rewind, episode number 6. We'll be talking about differences between the core update, helpful content update, and how that's been grouped into the core update, along with news and happenings in the world of ChatGPT and their integration of search and the search functionality. With me today I have Ben Steele, managing editor and content goblin at
Hi, folks.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Busy week, Ben?
Yeah, it's a busy week of doing goblin things,
Absolutely. So, let's kick off by understanding what the Google's broad core algorithm updates are, especially since the helpful content update was integrated into the core algorithm update really back in March 2024.
That's right.
What are your thoughts on those shifts and, that we've been observing since, since last September until now for the past year?
Yeah, sure. I can speak to that. So there are different types of updates, right? Some are very specific and targeted on modifying specific systems or creating new systems, and others are applied across the entire algorithm as it exists. So a broad core algorithm update is a significant change to Google's primary search algorithm. So a more specific update would be like Panda, which targeted very specifically low quality content, or Penguin, which addressed spam specifically. Core updates are a comprehensive reevaluation of the existing signals in the system. So what they're doing is they're adjusting the algorithm with new data or updated data, and they take that from maybe the Google quality raters or and adjust the weighting of different things. So for example, backlinks as a general factor, they might change the weighting of that. And so if you were performing really well based mostly on the number of backlinks and they changed the weighting of how the links worked, you might see a reduction in your rankings there.
Excellent. That's a great explanation. And, with these shifts, some sites may notice changes in their rankings, even if they haven't made any changes themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty wild. And one thing, speaking of updates, is Google also launched the helpful content update, which they did integrate into core. What impact has that had across the board?
So that's right. So Google released the helpful content update, which was a specific update. It was targeting something very specific. So it was designed to promote content that provides like actual, it's in the name, helpful content, genuine value, right? So did the user find this content helpful? And that aligns with a lot of the conversations we've been having over the last few months or maybe years about intent, right? And how well you satisfy the user intent of a query. And it also demoted content that was created primarily to game algorithms, provide advertising revenue, or provide like affiliate revenue and things like that. The effectiveness of that. But then what they did is they integrated that system into the core system. And so helpful content and how well you satisfy the needs of a user is now kind of like at the heart of the search results in the core algorithm. So it's not standalone anymore. The standalone helpful content thing no longer exists. It's just part of what Google considers is necessary in the core algorithm. So those principles are a fundamental part of how Google evaluates content.
And speaking of content that's just been put together for monetary or advertising reasons, one thing we have noticed is that there's been many high-profile sites that have seen a decline as a result of this. One example is Glenn Gabe pointed out on social media that Time.com, Time Magazine's personal finance section as a whole has seen significant drops. A lot of that is content or listicles that are chock full of affiliate links that are just trying to really, rank and have those listicles with the best X or best Y, best credit cards for someone that's in debt, whatever it may be, that really don't have much user value, right? It's just a list of top offers out there. What are your thoughts on sites like Time, Forbes, others getting spanked by these updates?
Yeah, I mean, low quality affiliate marketing has been a curse on SEO for God knows how long, right? And even very recently, we've seen a lot of people who have been frustrated with the fact that these big sites, with even though they have large recognizable brands, they're producing this low quality affiliate content, and they're still winning in the SERPs. I'm glad to see sites like Time.com's personal finance section, and also certain areas of Forbes, which I know if you're trying to compete in the SERPs, you probably curse the name of Forbes. As so that like the home and health sections, they've been hit pretty hard. So that's because these sections do contain content that prioritizes the affiliate money making over the user experience and the quality of the experience, etc. So we're starting to finally see that updates are weeding out this content.
Yeah, one interesting thing that I saw, especially in multiple spaces within like the health field, was like where Healthline used to have a listicle that was all affiliate links. Healthline itself didn't necessarily lose ranking, but the page that ranked was swapped over to a more informational page itself, right? So just seeing that it's not necessarily targeting the entire entity, but more so some of the content that's pumped out by the entity, or in some cases, third-party content that's using the entity as a host, I guess, being eliminated from the results. So, what shifts are we seeing in terms of content performance, in terms of what's working there and what's not? I may have already stated that question.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If I was Healthline, I'd be a little bit more worried about those low quality pages because they do have a lot of authority, and their approach to some of the more authoritative content has been really good for them. But if they keep on with some of those lower quality pages based on some of the site-wide signals, they might start to struggle a little bit more too. For now, it seems like they're pretty safe, but that's kind of like my off the cuff zero research opinion about Healthline. So yeah, I mean, we're seeing that content that genuinely addresses a need is performing better, and that's the point that you just made about how the more authoritative content from the domain is being served first. And so things like in-depth articles, original research, anything where you're offering unique insights, where you can prove that you're an expert or that you have a unique kind of knowledge that helps a user in a very specific way that they need. That's the content that's going to do well. And thin content that's primarily being created for the purposes of acquiring traffic that may not be core to your audience, things like that, that's going to start to suffer more.
It's a great point. Shifting gears a bit, let's talk about the rise of AI in search, right? And AI search engines. Last week, we saw the launch of SearchGPT by OpenAI, just integrating it into ChatGPT as a whole, which is kind of cool, like in terms of the ability to search for real-time data and real-time queries on like weather or factual queries, sports scores, things like that, right? Mm-hmm. And then like there's been platforms like Perplexity and others that have been growing slowly in influence. Some people I talk to use it quite a bit. Some don't use it at all. But what developments do you see on the AI side really impacting the search landscape here?
So we're seeing some very interesting developments, and we're not quite sure that SearchGPT and other like AI-based engines are actually competing with Google. The reason for that is the difference in the type of query and the intent of the query. We're seeing that the kind of AI searches are acting a little bit more like a personal assistant, rather than what people would maybe turn to Google for, because Google and search engines like it work very heavily on keywords still. That's still true. Even though their natural language processing has gotten a lot better, users have been trained for a very long time to use these search engines for the kind of briefer, more targeted, less natural language, short keyword queries. And this is changing with voice search and natural language and AI and all that stuff, but it's still kind of what we see. You can see by the keyword search volume, right, how people are using them. It's usually the shorter keywords that have the highest volume, whereas the AI chats, AI chatbots and AI search are driven by more chatty, because they're chatbots, right? More chatty queries, more long form natural language types of queries. And so users are interacting with them in a more conversational manner, as if they are interacting with like an assistant. So those users are accustomed to using that more natural language, which is a little bit more intuitive than keyword-based searches that most people use on Google.
That's an interesting distinction between the two. Like keyword searches can sometimes limit how effectively a search engine understands the user intent, right? Which is why Google, in addition to trying to figure out the intent, will also display the people also ask section to try to get the user to try to answer the user's question that they may have more efficiently, or influence. Try to figure out what people are looking for, right?
Like, hey, what the heck did you mean? Here's a few questions.
Yeah, exactly. So do you think this natural language approach gives AI search engines an advantage?
In some ways, for sure. Natural language processing allows AI assistants to kind of grasp those more complex ideas and nuances. But from a publisher's standpoint, there's a bit of a caveat. So despite these advanced capabilities, they don't really drive traffic externally. AI search doesn't drive traffic to websites. So at Search Engine Journal, we've noticed that even though we do rank for quite a few queries on ChatGPT, our traffic is like 0.4%, I think, from that particular platform.
Yeah, and that's a pretty significant difference, right? So like, while AI search engines are gaining their user base, they aren't necessarily translating that into increased traffic for publishers yet, are they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the problem we're seeing, is that when the AI answers a question in sometimes a way that appears to be quite comprehensive, or they'll provide you with like a longer answer, a user is more likely to assume, oh, this is everything I need.
Yeah. Do you think the AI search engines like ChatGPT have the potential to impact the market share that Google has?
Potentially. I'd say it's too early to say. I think that Google's market share is still 90% more. It's it's going to take a lot to take a bite out of that market share, right? In my opinion, it seems to be more that there are now alternatives for more specific use cases, just like in the way of there being, Google-based alternatives for like local search or voice queries or voice commands and things like that. The AI search engines are another new development in ways that you can interact with the open web and the ways you can get information. So it's really hard to say what impact this is going to have on Google as a publisher. Google as an entity, or the publishers that rely on Google and other search engines, because it may be that the traffic that is going to the AI models instead may not have been really good traffic for you anyway, if they're satisfied by what the AI models spit out and they don't go to your website. Who knows?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, because I remember years ago someone told me that the only time they ever saw their kids get off Facebook is when they went to Google to search for something that was being discussed to figure out what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Meta has integrated their AI chat or conversational technology across the board between Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. Only reason someone may get off of TikTok, perhaps, is to do a search on Google as well to figure something out, or learn more about a brand that they've seen in a reel or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So just seeing that these social media communities are integrating their own AI search component is pretty wild at the same time, right? So
yeah,
definitely see that being something that could impact Google, or at least like a user's behavior to jump from one community over to Google to do a search, and then go back. If that AI integration is already within media and people are finding out social media and people are finding out the data they need to find or the information they need to find, there's really no reason to leave. So it's pretty well, so Google does maintain a strong advantage in these key areas, but for website owners ourselves that, hey, we want to make sure that as publishers and businesses that we're included in this conversation, even if the user's not clicking, it can still be good for the brand, right? So how can website owners interested in making their content accessible to these AI search engines, what should they do?
Yeah, this is a really tough one, and there's a lot of debate about this, both from like a technical point of view and also an ethical point of view. And while that's all being worked out, there's some things that you can do to make sure that you're at least appearing in these searches. One thing that I want to mention is that Google has been using AI effectively for years already, and it's still the best for certain things. So like local search, Google is still going to provide the best results, the best personalized results. And so if you rely on local at all, you still want to make sure that you have all your local SEO on point. You've got your Google business profile, you're appearing on Google Maps. All that stuff is not going away to like AI chatbots anytime soon. And then for appearing in the chatbots specifically, make sure that Search GPT can index your content.
Yeah.
So that means ensuring your robots.txt file isn't blocking the OAI search bot crawler. So that helps you appear in those results by ensuring the AI bots themselves are able to crawl your content, the ones that do have access to the open internet, because there are some that do now with the AI search engines with ChatGPT and Perplexity and etc.
Nice. That's really good to know. So as we wrap things up today on our weekly SEO Rewind, what final advice do you have to give to our listeners and viewers to help navigate these changes?
Honestly, it's still about embracing authenticity and focusing on creating content that really genuinely serves your audience's needs. There's going to be no replacement for that, even with AI chatbots. Even if you're not getting the traffic from those chatbot entities, it's important to remember that your audience still needs stuff, and the way that they access information might be changing, but their need isn't. And so you have to follow those access trends while fulfilling the needs of your audience. And if you can do that, you're still setting yourself up for success, no matter what the details look like.
Very cool. And one thing I just wanted to add too is that the OpenAI team did do a Reddit Ask Me Anything, and Roger, Monty, and I were discussing this last week. The possibility of being and its index being used as a for core learning by Search GPT. That was confirmed in the Reddit Ask Me Anything because of OpenAI's partnership with Microsoft or investment by Microsoft. So, in addition to making sure you're not blocking the OpenAI search bot, make sure you have your Bing Webmaster Tool set up. It's pretty simple. Just go in, sync it up with your Search Console data, and you're pretty good to go. So that's one additional tip I'd like to add for today. Ben, thanks so much for joining today's this week's SEO Rewind. It's
Thank you, Loren.
To connect, and I know you're really busy with things behind the scenes at SEJ. So taking this 20 minutes or so to kind of jump into a conversation, really appreciate it.
Well, I love doing it. Thank you, Loren.
Awesome. And where can everyone find you online, Ben?
The best place to find me is on LinkedIn. So you can just search my name and I'll show up. I'm the content goblin on LinkedIn.
All right. So see everybody next week on the weekly SEO Rewind by SEJ. Thanks again, Ben.
Bye.